Hi, my name is Jana, and this is the Jambulance. I'm traveling around the States with my cat, Lewis, so come on in. So I started the build out in Iowa with my dad, and then throughout the couple months I've been traveling since I left in October, I've been able to do things in different states. So one of my favorite things about the Jambulance is this countertop. It's an epoxy countertop. I took paint and mixed the colors into the epoxy first, and then you do a paint pour on top of primed wood with the epoxy. Let it dry. You have to have like a heat gun, and then you heat out all the bubbles with the propane torch, and then you can create any effect you want. I went with a marble look. So that is my countertop here and there around the stove. Something that was really fun to create was this rack. I put one on each side above the countertop, and I was looking for metal artwork of some kind to go in, and I settled with iron or oven racks from just an old stove. So I went to a reuse store. The guy there hooked me up with these. I came home and cut them and then spray painted them after I cleaned them up and put them up on the wall. And so now they're great to hold anything that you want to hold. I'm using carabiners and S-hooks. And so as long as you're not moving too much, you can put mugs and things up like that. Another really great thing is the cabinet. These are actually made out of redwood. And then when you open up the cabinet, I just use old Pepsi crates that you can roll in and out. So put those on rollers, and that makes up my cabinet. It also houses my fresh water tank. So I found these off of Facebook Marketplace, tried to refurbish as much as possible, and it's just a little pantry. So I put runners in the bottom to keep things from sliding around, and then I just have, you know, things that I would want access to easily in the kitchen. It also makes it easier to have another shelving unit, which I'll show you later, have, you know, things like clothing in. So it frees up some space. One thing that I've learned while traveling around and breaking a few things is that you need to have locks on everything. Definitely want to keep things stable and closed while you're moving. So the window treatments, my mom actually helped me, and they are Velcroed on the bottom. You roll them down, and they're really great, so you can just tuck them straight into the frame of the window all the way around it. They're two-sided, so I chose two different types of fabric. I can reverse it just by undoing these and reversing it the other way, so you can change it up if you want a different scenery on the inside or outside. And in the middle, there is a fabric that is heat resistant and keeps your ambulance either warm or cold, depending on what season you're traveling in. And then when you are done with it, you just roll it back up, wrap these around, and it Velcros right back up. Some of the challenges that I had to overcome happened right after I purchased the vehicle. I was living in St. Thomas, and I purchased it off of eBay in Maryland. So it took me a little bit. I wasn't able to get to the vehicle for about a month. My friend Mark was actually able to go pick it up, and it stayed at his house until I was able to fly up with another friend, Jody. So Jody and I flew up with Lewis, the cat, and hung out in Maryland for a couple of days before starting our venture to Iowa, where I would then build it out. Along the way, we literally stalled out in Ohio, in the middle of nowhere, Ohio. And, you know, it's a Saturday, almost noon, nothing's gonna be open, and if it's open, it's closing. You know, I was very fortunate to have a friend with me to help calm me down. But ironically, my dad's friend lived literally 2 miles away from where we stalled out. He also had diagnostic equipment with him. So he was able to come meet us in the middle of nowhere on a highway. I gave him the highway number, and he came to the exact spot and helped us, you know, locate a mechanic and get back on the road. So my stove was purchased secondhand and off of Facebook Marketplace from a woman that was actually creating a school bus schoolie in Iowa and then never finished it. So I was able to get that from her. And then you see the rack on this side, epoxy countertop. This was actually the first one that I did, and then I mirrored it on that side. This sink was really fun to create. So I actually went to a restaurant supply store and purchased this, and it's a food container. Then I took I drilled through, and then I used a jigsaw and made my sink. And then I purchased this online. It's a little bit big, but I like it. Something fun, the plumbing actually goes down. And it has to go out the side of the ambulance, down underneath, across to the gray water tank, which is underneath the shower. I went with the wire shelving right above the sink because I didn't have a ton of space between windows. I didn't want to cover the windows, so the wire shelves worked out great. So my propane tank is on the right side of the cabinets. It's secured in, and it goes to the oven. It also goes over to the propane heater, so it goes up behind here through the ceiling and over to the other side. On the left side, big question is, where do you go to the bathroom? I have a little toilet, slides in and out. Sometimes I put it in the shower, especially if you want extra privacy. There's a nice little curtain. So it just sits in there or in the shower. I've been living in St. Thomas in the U.S. Virgin Islands for the last 7 years. And the last 2 years I've been teaching aerial yoga. And so I wanted to bring an aerial yoga hammock into the ambulance, but the height won't allow it. So this was the next best thing. It's a little hammock chair, so I can hang out in it. And it's a perfect little spot because I can look out the window, eat my breakfast, and hang out. This is actually one of my favorite cabinets. I had to do a lot of cutting in this space, but this cabinet was actually over here, and it was connected to the tire well. So I cut it off. You can tell that it's a little bit cut off over here. And then I secured it in this corner because there was a chair here prior. So making the best use of the cabinets that were already in the ambulance as I converted it. So this one's a great one. This one was also already here. And basically this stores my hygiene products, makeup, stuff like that. And then this would be like a little pantry. I have my cat food and my Lewis's food in here, some blankets, any kind of storage. So another fun thing that I really like about it is I put this barn door in. I went around and around with different ideas on how to close the front entrance to the back, both for just like when I'm in here and I don't want the sunlight in, versus just for safety if I needed to get a move on really quickly. So this is just a barn door that I ordered online. It slides open and close. I left this bolt a little bit bigger so that when I'm driving it catches and it won't close on me, so that I can always see through the windows in the back. This is just the tire well on the outside. And then as we move over to the solar, this is all the solar setup going on. And I also have a breaker in the cabinet. And I have 400 watts of solar running. So enough that I can power my water pump, the lights, and my fridge without any issues. And then if I do have any issues, such as cloudy day, or I can't, I just run out of power, then I can run the engine and it will charge the batteries as well. This still works. This came with it, and as long as the engine's running, I have heat and AC. I chose to leave it in here just in case, especially because I have a cat with me. I try to stay in the butter zone when I'm traveling, although I haven't always done that. I was definitely in snowy areas in Oregon and Washington, and so I have shore power on the outside. I have an extension cord. If I can find somewhere that has a hookup, I can plug in here, and then I just have a portable heater that I travel with. Underneath the cabinet in the solar, I have my fridge and Lewis's litter box. I had to try a couple different things, but really important for keeping the smell down and making sure that it's sealed, because wood absorbs moisture. I used Red Guard. It's the same stuff I use in my shower. And so I used Red Guard to line the box for the cat so that I have no issues. The fridge is a pull out in a drawer. It is running off of solar. I can control the temperature, and just a great little cooler sized fridge. It's perfect for me. It also can serve as a freezer. What I would say to any female traveler, specifically the solo female travelers that are thinking about either van life or, you know, decking out an ambulance, is 100% do it. Make the jump. It was very scary, I can tell you, from asking my employer for a year off to moving off of the small island that I called home for 7 years, to coming and picking up a vehicle that I had really no prior knowledge to besides a mechanic write-up and the description given to me on eBay, and then designing it into what would be my home for the next year. So you learn a lot of things along the way. Definitely, as a female solo traveler, I would suggest that you link up with other travelers. You can find them on Instagram, you can find me. I'll give you any information that I have, and you can ask any questions. But reaching out to other people that are doing it, are planning to do it, or have done it is huge. So I really wanted to have a shower, and so I kept going back and forth on the size of the shower. All the standard shower bases are too large for what I wanted to build, so I settled on creating my own. I started with the box, and I just created a standard box out of wood, and so I framed it in, and then I used Red Guard. And then with the Red Guard, I primed it, and then I did epoxy on the top. I followed suit with the walls as well, just 1/4-inch plywood. My shower is inspired by St. Thomas, which has been my home for the last 7 years. So the colors are definitely inspired by the oceans in St. Thomas. Another really fun thing to figure out was how to get the shower head mounted. So I cut a hole for the hose so that way you can use it for your feet, whatever, if you don't want to take a full shower. And then on the inside of it, you can see better on the outside of the shower, but I lined it with a black tubing that you cut, and then you just mold it around the hole. This goes to a water heater. It's a propane water heater on the other side, and it vents out to the outside. So one of my favorite things I recently just did, it's not completely finished, but I'll tell you what I'm going to do to finish it, is on the opposite side of the shower wall. I didn't know what to do. It was mostly just sitting there, so I framed it in, and then I got metal. I cut the metals because I wanted to have a metal background so that I could have magnets on it. So this is actually a magnet. I went to a reuse store again, and I got these. It's actually the face of a cabinet, so like kitchen cabinet. I got decent wood, I cut it, and then I made it into shelves. There's holes every 2 inches across every single one. And to secure things that I don't want to move when I'm driving around, I'm gonna take bungee cord, just hasn't arrived yet, and string it through so that it creates a boundary for the items. And it also stretches so I can get things in and out. I put my propane water heater on this wall. I actually had to cut this cabinet because it went into the shower. So once I did that, I had enough space for the propane water heater. I vented it out. I actually did that in Nevada. So just kind of doing things along the way of my travels as well. So even though I'm a solo traveler, a big bed is somewhat important to me. And so I decided to go with a full, not quite a queen, but big enough. And it's on a slot system, so you just pull out. It's a little bit harder. And then the bed will come out into full size. Once it's out, it gives you a little bit over a foot of walking space from the back through, so you're not stuck climbing over a bed when you open it up. And then to set it up for a couch during the day, you just push it back in. So this cabinet was already in the ambulance, but inside it, it's really spacious. I can fit little totes in here so you can organize your clothing really easily. So this is actually something that my grandma made for me when I was in college, and Prior to moving to St. Thomas, I had a house in Iowa and I had it in the house, but then when I sold that house, I took it down, and this was a great spot for it. So it's my bag holder and hat holder. And then underneath it are my googly eyes. So I like to look at them when I'm driving down the road, and they bounce along the way. So another one of my favorite things about my home is the ladder. I came up with this idea because I didn't want to have a ladder that would close the door from being able to come open. So a lot of the ladders go from the top to the bottom of your rig, or at least on the top of it, they're mounted, and then you can't open the door. So this is just piping, and I'm just gonna open up this side so you can see what I'm talking about, but the door is hollow. So in order to access this, I had to take off the paneling and take out the windows on that side. And then I use a nut and bolt system, and I also use another one of the bases on the inside of it to help secure it. And so you just ratchet, tighten it as tight as possible, and then I actually insulated the door and then put everything back together. So this is stable enough, and then gives you access, and also allows the door to open. So if you're a single female traveler and you want to reach out, I'm definitely here. And even if you're not, I'm definitely here to answer any questions that you might have. But I'll be traveling around America, so maybe I'll see you guys. If you want to look me up, you can look up Jambulance on Instagram. It's JANBULANCE. Thanks. See you later.